Hey y'all, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about writing, homeschool writing. So I'm in search of a writing program for my girls. I'm currently in transition of finding, and compiling the things we're going to use for language arts because we're doing away with the program we were using, right? So I have something for grammar, but I'm like, I need to add in writing this year. So I asked for a few recommendations on Instagram and social media, and a few people recommended a few things. I also watched some YouTube videos and got an idea of what I think I may like. So today I'm going to show you 2 things I grabbed so far and just share what I think is going to be a good fit for us just based on this, okay? First thing first, I went with Evan-Moor. So the first thing that was recommended was the daily 6 trait writing. So I chose the first and second grade level because I feel like the program we were using didn't really like teach writing in an explicit way or go step by step. And so far what I've learned is this daily 6 trait writing by Evan-Moor. Evan-Moor has great resources, by the way. I've used many of their workbooks, so I do, feel comfortable and confident that they're going to learn using this approach. So I was doing a little research and it was like, okay, if you want to use the daily 6 trait writing, you have to pair it with something that gives them more writing practice, because the daily 6 trait writing is pretty much giving them the steps on learning how to write. I also grabbed this workbook. It's called Writing Fun, Paragraphs and Sentences. I think I read that right. For grades 1 through 3. The thing with the Evan-Moor daily workbooks is I always get the teacher edition because you have the instruction as well as the worksheets in there, and I think it just makes more sense as opposed to buying this and then the student workbook. But I get this because everything is all in one. The kids don't really know the answers and stuff are in there, so it's like a win-win for me. But the workbook itself is black and white, and it's like, it's not very inviting, but they're very simple, and it's a daily thing. So it's 1 page per day. It's very, very light. But with this other workbook, the daily, with the Writing Fun, Paragraphs and Sentences, is in color. There are things they can cut out, fun things they can do, glue, paste, write letters, and things of that nature. So I'm like, this may be a good fit. My 5-year-old will be 6 next month. I'm like, I got her the grade 1 of the daily 6 trait writing because I want to give a gentle introduction to this. The 6 traits in the writing includes, I'm reading off my phone, it includes ideas, organization, word choice, sentence fluency, voice, and conventions. So this program, I think it has like 25 weeks of lessons, with 4 days having a worksheet and the 5th day being a writing prompt that's not included in the workbook, so you do it in a journal or something like that. But it's a very gentle approach. It's organized in 6 traits. I think it's like 5 weeks, 5 or so weeks per trait. Yes, 5 weeks per trait. So the first 4 weeks is pretty much going through the unit topic, and then week 5 is review of all the components. There is a grading rubric as far as their writing. So yeah, I'm gonna do like a flip through at the end of the video, but I'm like, this is probably it. This is probably it. I've heard people use like IEW and curriculums like that, but I'm like, I'm not really ready for that. I want something soft, well, not soft, but something gentle, something that gets them motivated to write. If you do a little by little daily, it's like very encouraging as opposed to jumping out there doing essays at a time or paragraphs at a time. So I want it to be something small but can make an impact over time. So we're going to give this a try. I like the way it's set up. It's not requiring them to do a whole lot of writing, but more so understanding what details are, what topics are, how to organize your thoughts, how to use different vocabulary and word choice. Let's see, sentence fluency. I see where voice, so what type of language you're using in your writing, how to organize your ideas. I see this being something that they'll really enjoy and benefit from. I think doing it this way, they get an understanding of things that they read better. So, yeah, that's a little overview. But in the back, they say to supplement with these recommended workbooks. So the first one on here is a text-based writing for nonfiction. That's another workbook that you can purchase, as well as the writing line. So the writing line is different workbooks depending on what you want to focus on. And so I already have one of these and wasn't really aware, but this one is a great supplement to this. So this one is daily practice, maybe 2 to 3 things, 2 to 4 things to do per day. Usually it's multiple choice or maybe 1 or 2 words per line. Sometimes they write sentences. Sometimes they're tracing in the first grade level. So it's very, very different. But with this one, it's very colorful. Very colorful. It gives different, unit pages. There are things to cut out, as I said, and it makes it a lot more fun. There are ways that they can cut and, do the activities without having to write it out. I think that's motivating so they can know the components of writing and not necessarily have to be burdened if they're not really good at writing so far. With children, it takes a while to develop their handwriting and their hand strength. And sometimes when they have to write a whole lot, they give up. So I'm really liking it so far, the approach. So I'm glad someone recommended that. So if you're interested in this, I'll link them in the description below. I think it's going to be a really good fit. But I have been looking into other things. So I have been looking into something else. So I went on Amazon, watched YouTube reviews, as I said, and someone mentioned they use Write Shop for their writing curriculum. I purchased this on Amazon, the C version, book C. So they have book A, book B, so I skipped like all of those. And I grabbed book C for the price. This teacher's guide was only $10, and I feel like I need to prep a lot more for this. I would have to do a lot of planning in advance, gather materials and things of that nature for this. I haven't really read through it or anything like that, but I'm like, you know what? If they start off with the Daily 6 Trait Writing, and I feel like they need to do more, I think I can switch to the Write Shop. Or I can look into something like Writing with Ease by the Well-Trained Mind, because I am using first language lessons. Or I can look into other writing programs on down the line, maybe Brave Writer, IEW, whatever the case may be. But right now, I want something simple, to the point, and going to help encourage them to write. I also want to get into daily journal prompts, or maybe not daily, maybe a weekly journal prompt, the one that's in here, and then an additional one that's something that they really enjoy. Or I recently told my girls that I want them to, whenever they read a book, to draw a picture about it and then write a few sentences. For my 5-year-old, she can write 1 or 2 sentences. For my 7-year-old, she has to write at least 3 sentences. That's my thing for her, because I want them to get in the habit of really recalling what they read, which they're really, really good at. They can tell you what a book is. My 7-year-old, she can tell you what the book is about from the front to the back just by reading it, not writing anything down. But I want her to get in the habit of writing more, and so I think this is going to be a fun way to do that. So yeah, I'm excited. I feel like when you're building your own language arts curriculum, it can be so overwhelming because there are so many resources. But this is where workbooks come in handy, I feel like. With this one, it's very simple, like very, very simple. It doesn't seem intimidating at all. There's a script for you to say. There's a script for you to say. You can prep in advance. You can, of course, jazz it up. You can have them color things if you want to. But let me just flip the camera around and give you a flip through of the first grade and second grade. They're pretty much the same, just in advancement. And then I also give you a little sneak peek into the writing fund to show you the color and activities and things of that nature. If you have a writing curriculum that you're loving and using, please drop it in the comment section below. I'm not set in stone on this, but I'm leaning more towards it because I have it now and I'm liking the setup. But if you have anything that's easier, something that's working for you, that's low prep, that includes fun topics or prompts or whatever the case may be, let me know. The beauty of the homeschool community on social media and YouTube is that you get recommendations. You don't have to do as much research on your own because someone has already gone through this and figured out things that work for their children. So I'm just sharing as I go along. Usually I'll share on my Instagram stories, but I'm like, no, let me share this on YouTube so that other people who are searching for this can get a feel of what it is. So I do also want to add that based on my Google search, some of the benefits to the Daily 6 Trait Writing is it helps students understand the components of strong writing, provides a structured framework for writing instruction and assessment, and it encourages students to focus on specific areas for improvement. I do love that the units focus on a specific area: organization, sentence fluency, ideas, supporting details. One thing I've heard another homeschool mom mention is that you cannot focus on everything at one time. So if spelling is an issue, focus on that. If grammar is an issue, focus on that. But not all at once. So I'm loving it so far. But yeah, let me flip the camera around. All right, so here is the workbook. As I said, it is black and white. They do have different QR codes for, you know, extra freebies, worksheets, and more in-depth things. This is the table of contents. Hopefully you can see it. Where unit 1 is ideas, unit 2 is organization, unit 3 is word choice, unit 4 is sentence fluency, unit 5 is voice. So there's 5 weeks for every unit, as I mentioned earlier, and both the first and second grade, and I'm thinking all of the grade levels include the same 5 units. All right, this is just an overview telling you how to use this book. This is a teacher's edition, so you know some schools may incorporate this into their lessons, but it gives you a feel of what it's for, how to use it, things of that nature. It also gives you an idea of what each 6th trait is and what it means, and just, you know, teaching you more about it. This is the rubric that I mentioned, how you score your children when they complete activities. And then this is what a week look like. So this is week 1. There's an activity A, which is you basically just giving them the definition. Activity B is reading a few sentences, and activity C is, you know, different topics. So this is the answer key in the beginning, and then on day 5 there is a writing prompt that your child has to do. Yeah, and little reminders that incorporates grammar. I do love that. So this is basically what it looks like. Very simple, black and white, not intimidating pages. A lot of this for the 1st grade is circling or writing, you know, simple words, and not too overwhelming. It's not requiring too much. I think it's very light. They are tracing the word for the 1st grade, then they're reading the sentences and underlining or circling, and then they'll be writing, you know, is Ted happy or sad? They'll write happy or sad. So very, very simple. Then they start to incorporate more writing things on their own. Let's move to another section. This is organization. So sequencing, beginning, middle, end. Now they're writing a little bit more. Same thing, sequencing, just varying the activities. How to make sandwiches. Telling the story, drawing an ending for the story if they don't have to write. Organization. So it's very, very simple. Very, very simple. Word boxes, so word choice. I feel like this is a good way to incorporate new vocabulary. Let's see, sentence fluency. Using different words to tell about the same person, so they could be pronouns, things like that. So I think this is going to be a really good fit. I can add color elsewhere in the activities, but right now I'm thinking I like this. So this is the 1st grade one. Now for the 2nd grade one, it's the same table of contents, same how to use this book, same rubric. Activities are different. They're requiring a little bit more writing. Same setup for ideas, activities, as well as the writing prompt, but just more writing, more reading. You know, it's a step up from 1st grade. Details, organization, first, next, then last. Put things in the right order. Very gentle, but I think it's going to be really effective. More sentences, and it's a good way to weave in the grammar they'll be learning, word choice, vocabulary that I want to incorporate more of. Let's see, this is sentence fluency. Think about things that happen in the bake sale. So I love that it doesn't always necessarily require them to write a sentence, but more so just give the details or just get their thoughts out. I think that's important. Don't mind the children in there. combining sentences, like run-on sentences and stuff like that. All right, and then lastly, it is the writing fun sentences and paragraphs, which is full of color. There are more freebies. So yeah, this is a little cute little poem. These are the pages I was talking about. Starts off very, slow. This is something where they have to cut and paste. Write the answer. This is cutting to see what is missing. Writing sentences, funny sentences, more cutting, but it's talking about the predicate now. So it's going through different things, but just fun ways to do it. Sentence maze, sentence scramble, rhyming sentences, cutting it and then putting it where it's supposed to be. Pictures, cutting these out and then writing about it. Okay, more cutting and pasting. I think there was punctuation. This is what is missing, capital letter, whatever the case may be. Writing sentences. This is about subjects. So it moves through the different parts of writing predicates. Sentence scramble. I think there's like a maze. There are images that can cut out. This is action and linking verbs, adjectives, describing words. This is a fun activity where they have to cut this out, color it, write a letter and give it to someone. Really cute. Adverbs, paragraphs. I love these little like cover page. Love the cover page for what they're going to learn. This is about paragraphs, topic sentence, supporting details, closing sentence. As you can see, like I compare this with this. You're not gonna always make copies. I was gonna return this book, but I'm like, I think this would actually work great as a supplement. Supporting details, putting together the paragraph, putting them in order. I think the cutting and pasting is a good mix because they don't always want to write. They love crafts and projects, so I think this would be really fun. This includes a balloon, so I think they'll enjoy that, and then writing a story about that. And then at the end, they have a little cute certificate. So yeah, this is what I'm thinking about so far for my girls. I think this is gonna complement very well. It's gonna be really fun and easy to do it. I'm gonna incorporate different ways to add more color, bring it to life through their journal or different activities. Just making it fun and relating it to things they enjoy. They also do Night Zookeeper online as well, so that's another part where they can get writing practice and language arts, because it's an online curriculum. But I think that's all for this video. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your recommendations, what you're currently using. When do you introduce writing to your children? When do you enforce a formal curriculum? What things are important to you when it comes to writing? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in my next video.